Hello and welcome back to the Rambling Ram Report. I'm, of course, your host, Luke Meadows. With me here today is Miss Elizabeth Martin. Miss Martin, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for coming on. I know we have a bit of a change of scenery. This is a lot prettier and cuter than us being in the car. So thank you for letting us use your room.
Of course.
So, kind of getting into the first question. This is kind of a straightforward question. How long have you been in education?
So this is my 10th year teaching, so coming up on a decade.
Coming up on a decade, man. So what made you want to get into education?
So I come from a long line of teachers.
Okay.
My mom's a teacher, aunts who are teachers, and so initially I wasn't going to do that because they all said I was going to, but I just love school. I've always loved school, like always have been a nerd.
You're like predestined for it.
Yeah, I mean it was just like unavoidable. Like you couldn't get me away from school. I would just like sit at, my mom teaches 4th grade still, and so I would just kind of sit around after school and listen to them, and I just loved it and had to be a part of it.
So was there like a moment where you knew that you wanted to be a teacher, like in college or something? Is that what you went into college knowing you wanted to do, or did you change majors or anything?
Yeah, I didn't change. So I went in and I was like, I'm going to be an English teacher, and I stuck with it. So yeah, I do think I went towards English, but really now that I've had more students, they keep coming back and saying, oh, your English class is just like my sociology class. So I think I'm actually kind of sometimes teaching sociology and psychology.
That's funny.
But I didn't know what those were. I knew English because that's what I had in high school. So I kind of stumbled into it that way.
So when you were kind of growing up, did you always love English? Because I know Miss Pesic was not always an English person growing up, and she's also one of the English teachers. So did you grow up just loving English?
Yes, I had really good English teachers. Like
Okay.
I was always close with my English teachers. I loved Harry Potter. Like one of my middle school best friends, her mom was our English teacher.
Okay.
Take us to go get the new Harry Potter books and like dress up and nerd out. So I always really loved my English teachers, and I think I was just attracted to stories. I was trying to find kind of who I was, and like couldn't really see myself in other areas of my life, and so I just really liked hearing about stories and people who were different from me, and so English made the most sense.
It's funny, that sounds just like my mom, because of course, my
Really?
mom loves English,
Yeah.
but her English teacher was Miss Pointer, who's out there, or not Miss Pointer, yeah, Miss Pointer and Miss Hesby, but Miss Pointer, who, and my mom's best friend, Miss Pointer, is,
Her best friend's mom?
there we go.
Yeah.
We figured it out. Teamwork. My mom's best friend's mom
Yes.
is Miss Pointer.
Yeah.
So that was the whole thing where they were, they were best friends. Do you like writing more or reading more, you think?
Writing, which is weird because
A lot of English teachers don't feel that way. They feel
Yes.
like reading is their...
Well, my education didn't really prepare me for being an English teacher, because I think teaching writing, they both matter, but teaching reading is more like trying to find something that you love. Teaching writing is more practical, I guess. Everyone needs it.
Okay.
But my education was solely English major, which is just classic literature. You're
So is that just
reading.
like rhetorical analysis stuff?
Not
or-
even. It's like just literary analysis. So
Okay.
you're just studying all
the
classic
classics,
literature.
you're just cramming books
Yeah,
in.
and
Okay.
so it's not even, it's like zero creative writing. It's all literary analysis.
Analysis, okay.
And then I did my master's in that too. And then I got out and was like, well, but wait, I'm going to be teaching writing, which
Yeah.
is the way. And so most of my professional development, probably I like that because I've sought that out more. I feel like I had a really good foundation, like overkill. Is my like I was like, I'm good on the literature
You're doing
analysis.
the literary
Like,
analysis.
let's do something new. And so now I really love, and it's so personalized. Like you get to hear student stories and help them tell their stories. That's really powerful to me.
So has it been challenging for you in any way, kind of switching from that? Because I know Miss Pesic teaches AP Lit, and you teach AP Lang, which is a lot
Yeah.
more writing oriented. Has it been kind of a struggle switching, at least at the very beginning of your teaching career?
I started with Lang's. That was my
Okay,
student teaching,
okay.
and I had an amazing mentor teacher. He was incredible, and I like nonfiction.
Okay, yeah.
So it was fun for me. AP Lang is weird. Like
It is.
it isn't really like most English classes, so that worked for me. So I like that.
What kind of drew you in about AP Lang? Because you said it's not like most English classes. What what are the differences for people who don't take AP Lang right now?
Yeah, so it's totally nonfiction,
Mhm.
which I think oftentimes you think English education, you think classic literature, poetry, prose, like that's kind of
Yeah.
it. Literature analysis essays, like that's it. And then Lang is more like what you brought up earlier, rhetorical analysis. Like let's look at the great speeches in the past and see like how do people get people to do what they want them to with their words. Like that's fascinating because that's like how do you use your words to move masses? Like that's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. Yeah, I think because you know our whole. In case you didn't know, you know we have to watch AP videos, and that all of it is about, you know, basing what you say off of what the audience, you know, who the audience is, what their thoughts and beliefs are, and so I guess that does play a big role into kind of making people do what you want to do
Yeah.
with your speeches.
Yeah, we're gonna get into this unit next when we're done with college essays, and I do always say like, I'm gonna give you a lot of power, and I hope you use this for good and not evil, because you can't. But I also it's knowing when you're being manipulated and when
Yeah.
someone's trying to persuade you and teaching logical fallacies. Of
Mhm.
like, okay, so you can point out when like someone what their argument they're making doesn't hold.
Well, because I mean, yeah, because you know it is dangerous, like you said, because you can have extremes from like Martin Luther King to like you know Hitler or something like that,
Right.
and they both use kind of the same
Yeah.
thing, and they're you know fighting for a cause they believe in, but it's
Yes.
two totally drastic different things.
Yeah, and what are they speaking to? Because I don't know, we like to think that we're very logical, like
But, yeah.
we're not.
Yeah,
like
no, we're
we're
very emotional. Mhm.
Like Brene Brown, I was just listening to her podcast, and she said we like to think of ourselves as logical humans who sometimes feel, but really we're just emotional humans who sometimes think.
yeah.
Yeah, like we're not often. Like it's more feeling, and so then people are vulnerable. So.
Yeah, it is a very compelling thing to learn about. Everyone take AP Lang and do
Yay.
it. So this kind of transports. Yeah.
Cool. Where are we going?
Into what is your kind of educational teaching philosophy? Because I know you know you're a part of Mr. Engstrom's distilled learning. Socrates had a school,
Yeah.
and Mr. Engstrom has a a lot of you probably know Mr. Engstrom. He has a very distinct view on education. So I kind of want to know what your view on education, your educational philosophy is.
Yeah, it's funny when you apply for teaching jobs, you like write your educational philosophy straight
Oh,
out
really?
of school, which is ridiculous because it's like, of course you don't know anything.
Yeah,
You're like-
all you know is what you did in college and high
Exactly.
school.
And that's how you start teaching. You just teach however people taught you.
Mhm.
And so now that having a decade of like being able to sort of synthesize like my own experiences and then what I'm seeing here at Allen, I'm lucky because I've had a
Mhm.
lot of really unique teaching environments.
Yeah.
And so I would say my philosophy centers around empowerment.
Okay.
And I think the longer I've taught, the more I try to give over control and power to students, which takes time
Mhm.
because I think you're like when you're insecure and starting something, you've got to kind of hold on to everything and
Yeah.
hoard it. And then, but that's such a if I'm the only one who's contributing, what a waste.
Mhm.
When there's such a group of awesome people, it's like
Yeah.
we should all be like inspiring and engaging each other, not just like, okay, you get to come sit before me and let me
Let me lecture you right
yeah,
here.
let me literary analysis. Like it's just it would be a waste. So how to unlock that, which is really like how to motivate help them figure out what do you want to do, as
Mhm.
opposed to me projecting onto you what I think you should do, but then also holding people accountable.
Yeah, and that's one of the hard things that a lot of people witness in this kind of self-ownership learning, personalized learning kind of deal, is that people will lose pace. That Mr. Engstrom always said this class is self-paced, but it's not no-paced. That was his whole thing. But I do think because I agree with you on your educational philosophy that I think because that prepares students so much better for not just college but in their future, just in the real world.
Yeah.
Because you have kids who are they're out there doing things by themselves. They're not going to have someone to walk their hand through everything.
Yes.
And so they need to be able to take ownership of what they're doing because, Mr. Engstrom's whole thing, you become a lifelong learner.
Right.
And I think that's the most important thing. Some people disagree with that. Obviously, this is just a, idea about things, but I do agree with you on that educational front.
Yeah, and it's a balance.
Yeah.
And it depends.
You can't go too far, you know.
Yes, and I'm constantly like trying to check in with students, check in with colleagues, like reading new and trying to synthesize information, which is fun. Like
Yeah.
it's I've never been able to be like, no, I figured it out. Like it's done. But that's also, that would be really boring. So it's fun each new.
You know, it's never, you know, it's not the, what's the quote? It's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
This is
it's
that,
all.
yeah.
So kind of switching to some more fun topics
Yeah.
here.
What?
Well, I mean,
This is fun.
education is fun.
This is my favorite thing to talk about.
Favorite books.
Oh my gosh.
I know you are.
This is
You're
not-
a book nerd. We talked about this before the interview. If you can, so okay, I won't make you choose one. But
Okay,
if you
that's
can,
impossible.
if you can choose like three of your favorite books ever.
So I'll
Go.
okay. Still
On the spot right now.
I'll choose. Well, everyone knows Harry Potter because that's the book that that was my
okay, yeah.
my gateway.
That was the
gateway
gateway
drug
drug.
into reading.
Yeah.
Into reading. Because I hated reading as a kid. I
Really?
was bad at reading. I they were trying some sort of new phonics system
Ooh,
out
I
on us.
hated phonics.
And we
so,
didn't,
yeah.
so I would call words, but I had zero reading comprehension. So I could they thought I could read, and then like, wait, no, you can't. And my
yeah.
mom realized I couldn't read, and so she would fold laundry. Every time we were folding laundry, I had to read to her. So I hated reading and laundry. And so it wasn't until, and then what she liked was not
What you
my
liked.
jam. She
Yeah.
wanted me to read historical fiction, and so I was like, I hate this. And I ended up really liking fantasy and sci-fi.
Okay.
And so until I found my genre, it was a 6th grade English teacher. Harry Potter was big and contested. People were like,
oh.
evil book about
Yeah.
magic. Let's get, I'll read that.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, and then just getting transported to that world. And then I was their age. So I literally grew up
You
with
grew
those
up, yeah.
characters. So it was there's all kinds of nostalgia tied into that. So of course Harry Potter. Then we talked about, can I combo a
Yes,
question?
you can combo.
So Pride and Prejudice I love that book. Have you read Pride and Prejudice? Jane
I have not
Austen?
read Pride and
Oh,
Prejudice.
some of your classmates have, so we didn't do it in 10th grade. But Elizabeth Bennet is the main character. She's awesome and ahead of her time, and her name's Elizabeth. So of course,
So it fits, yeah.
I love her, and that's my favorite film adapted.
Okay.
And then recently, this is too hard. I'm looking at all.
You're
I
trying
feel
to
like
look at
I'm
the-
betraying
let's
them.
Meander around here.
I mean, this is
Runner.
this was another really formative book in high school. So I had a AP history teacher. We actually didn't
Okay.
read it in English class. We read it in a history class, and it was the first time I'd read a book set in Afghanistan, set in the Middle East, which I had
Which is like a foreign concept.
Yes,
Yeah.
my only concept was horrible associations
Yeah.
of 9/11 and us going to
Mhm.
war, and so then getting to see a very human story, and it's beautiful, and it's a story about redemption and this whole idea there's a way to be good again, which and it was contemporary
Mhm.
and beautifully written. So those are a few. That's 3. Yeah.
That's
I
3.
could.
That's 3.
We could get you. I could just pull them all out.
Go through all the books
Yeah.
here. So you brought up that Pride and Prejudice is your favorite
Mhm.
book adapted to a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, or maybe Pride and Prejudice. I'm sticking with it.
So would second favorite be The Giver?
Yeah, I really
Okay.
liked how they didn't stick with it. They kind of did their own thing. Which
Really,
I
'cause that's
appreciate.
interesting because a lot of English people and English teachers don't like it when the movie strays away from the book.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that because you're not going to be able to you're gonna have to go your own way, or it's
Mhm.
gonna because you don't have enough time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was a good one, and I love The Giver, just dystopian.
So what did you think about? Because this is one of the we watched this in Miss Pessick's class. We read the book To Kill a Mockingbird as a movie because that's my mom's favorite book
Yeah.
ever, and she loves Atticus Finch, all that stuff. So what were your views on?
She does not need to read Ghost.
Oh, she already read.
Did
she
she
already,
read
she
it?
read it and she was mortified.
Yes.
Yeah, she was
I
like,
know.
I'm gonna have to rename you
I
because my
know.
middle name is Atticus
I
after
know.
Atticus Finch,
Yes.
and she just she lost it. She said it was so hard for her to read.
I know.
She was just bawling to us at dinner about how Atticus Finch is a Klansman and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was very distraught about it.
Yeah.
It was very upsetting to her.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
I don't know. I was like, how is this book affecting you so much? She was just like, you don't understand.
But it's important because these books that we read when we're kids, I think people don't realize how much it impacts you.
Well, and also the thing for her was that she had always associated Atticus with my my grandpa, her dad,
Right.
and because they're such good people.
Yes.
And then when Atticus is like a Klansman,
Yes.
it's hard to, I guess, because it's kind of the same way that we build up people nowadays. We build up idols that we don't even know.
Yes. Humans are humans.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
but-
And Atticus isn't like, but
He's-
even in To Kill a Mockingbird, like the way it's been taught previously, it's like there are a lot of problems.
They're all and it's because the redeeming thing about Atticus is his fairness with
Yeah.
that, but you also have to look at it like he's being fair because he's giving a black person like a normal
Basic
trial,
rights.
literally
Yes.
basic human needs. Like
Yeah.
it's
And then getting like so much flack from the town for just performing basic rights.
yeah, I guess because there is nothing in there that says that he wouldn't have been, what he was in To Go Set a Watchman. It was just
Right.
and that's I think
He was just
but
doing his basic
he was so
job.
he was so contrast to like what society
Yes,
was. Is
yeah.
that it was it is fascinating to think about that because we know, I mean that's the thing, we know people, idolize, say, Elon Musk. We know Elon Musk just as much as we know Atticus Finch, maybe even more Atticus Finch because we read about him. And so, yeah, it is very interesting. So, didn't answer this.
Okay, sorry.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes.
Thoughts on the movie? Did you enjoy it? Is that a book that you think like should be continually
That's how
taught?
we teach it now. So we read it, and then we read everything about it, and students have to tell us if we should keep teaching it or not.
Because I remember we talked about if we should keep teaching it, and I mean, it's like, of course, I don't think you're in support of banning books or anything like that.
Right.
But making it where everyone has to teach it in a book like that, it's like it's
if not taught responsibly,
it
can be super dangerous. Like if it's held up as like this is a brilliant literary work, and look at how great Atticus is, and people are like, what? There's horrible racial issues still happening in here. Like it's not like we solved it.
See, if we solved it, it'd be one thing, but we obviously haven't.
And people can weaponize stories, but you could just take the story but you also have to take all the stories. So we actually watched the TED Talk, The Danger of a Single Story. And we teach it in the context of
it was the first TED Talk I've ever seen. It was so
good.
Yeah.
And we actually, last year's crew, the main argument that they made is it should be taught, but in the context of history, not necessarily in English class.
That's interesting. I didn't even think about that. That is a good point because I guess I don't really know where all those books came from that became we had to teach it like that.
Okay, and To Kill a Mockingbird is a weird, that's such a good example that you brought up. So it's this idea of literary canon, which is these are the most important books of all the books. It's like,
some
why?
old white person out there.
And it's only old white men. Because only old white men can write the best things. And so it's like, products of their time.
Yeah.
These are the ones that moved literary movements forward, but these weren't the only stories. These are just the only stories that got told and that got listened to. Interestingly, To Kill a Mockingbird, so one of the articles we read talks about it, it was one of the first paperbacks that could be cheaply circulated around school. So part of the reason
that's crazy.
is just the timing. It was contemporary at the time, and it was by a woman. They were reading all by men, and it was paperback. So it was just convenient.
That's crazy. I never even would have thought about that.
Yeah. Well, you think about it, there's I'm sure brilliant stories that just no one ever.
No one knows.
So just because it was
a paperback,
and then the more that it gets circulated, the more important. And so many people have named people after it from that book.
It's we had a dog named Boo Radley.
Right.
I mean,
it's a beautiful story, but it's one story. So I think if that's the only story that you're getting about race,
it's not a good.
That's
because then you get the idea that's how you were not supposed to not be racist.
Right.
And
I'm not racist. I read To Kill a Mockingbird. We gotta.
Don't think that.
We need to keep reading. So we got a bunch more stories for you. So it's just one story.
Yes, Ms. Martin, thank you for allowing me to interview you. Thank you for watching. We can do this another time later than you. Yeah, it's great.
Made my G period.
Woo! That's what I'm going for.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for listening. And tune in about 2 weeks. We'll have another interview. Thank you.